Hi, sir. So could you
Yeah,
please tell me about the concept of the ideal village and the origin of this conference and why it is taking place in India and what?
sure. Yeah. So the ideal village concept, it really represents a rural community where the basic essentials for living, namely clean water, access to healthcare, education, energy, and a means for livelihoods. These things are in place in that rural community. So that community then has the foundation to contribute economically um, from a rural perspective. So the rural economy can grow and will ultimately contribute to the national GDP. So ideal village means that village has those basic needs in place to become a viable part of the rural economy. So the origin of this conference. So what happened was, about 6-7 years ago, when some of us who were in Silicon Valley were looking at the problems of rural development in India, we found that there are so many NGOs who are doing great work on all these issues that I mentioned, like water and health and education, energy and livelihoods. But very often these NGOs seem to work in isolation, so that there was not much collaboration, which means sometimes there was repetitive work, sometimes people were making the same mistakes that others had made, and so on. So we felt that we should need to bring them all together into one place where they can share what they're learning, their results, their experiences. And so we were looking for a neutral or objective platform. And so we picked on Stanford University as a collaborative platform forum where we can have a conference bringing these different organizations. So in 2016, we had the first Ideal Village Conference, and we had about 150 attendees. But we had all the tracks. We had water and health and education and energy and livelihoods. And it turned out to be a very successful conference because there was a lot of interaction, sharing of experiences, discussions about each of those problems in these different areas, all of them connected to rural development. And so this forum continued. We then had the second conference in 2017, and each year we had a theme for the conference. So we started with collaboration, and innovation was another theme. We had a theme about women empowerment in rural areas, and then also, of course, corporate social responsibility, the role of CSR. And then when the COVID pandemic hit, we made it an online forum covering aspects of the pandemic. And so we found that this conference was really helping NGOs and tech companies and academics all work together on rural issues. And a result of that was there was a lot of collaboration happening between these different organizations. I think the other thing you asked is why we plan to hold it in India this time, I think, right?
Right.
That's the other question. So we had this conference for 6 years at Stanford each year, and we had several Indian organizations participate. But they also made a request. They said, look, we have a lot of work going on in India. It would be a great opportunity for all these organizations in India to be featured if you can move the conference to India. So we talked to our partners, and one of the important partners for us was the Wheels Foundation, which is the one of the Pan IIT initiatives that had been launched several years ago. So they became our partner, and we jointly decided to have this in the Banaras Hindu University campus this November November 11 to 13th, to really focus. And the theme that we are pushing now is all about rural transformation for sustainable growth. And so that's how we brought it to India this year.
So talking about collaboration, what is the role of technology, Silicon Valley, CSR in India for rural development?
Yeah, so when you look at technology, we have, whether it's in Silicon Valley or in Bangalore or Israel or wherever in the world, we have a huge amount of technology tools that are available to us: products, technology, services, internet-based products, digital products, and so on and so forth. Apps, hardware products, software products. So there's a huge amount of technology. And yet, with all this power of technology, we also have millions and millions across the world in developing underserved regions who don't even have the basics for leading a decent life. So we felt that we have to channel this technology towards the rural masses to help solve the problems of clean water or access to healthcare. And so technology is going to play a very big role in enabling solutions to be brought to the rural areas, to underserved communities, much more effectively and efficiently than the traditional approach. And Silicon Valley, of course, being one of the world's centers of innovation, where engineers are always striving to improve things, as when they see a problem, they want to solve it. So we are trying to get the rural challenges brought to these engineers to solve. Therefore, we can use technology from centers of innovation in India or in the US or elsewhere towards solving rural problems. And of course, this technology implemented, and India's CSR mandate, where companies have to reinvest some of their profit to help rural development, is a great solution. I think, hats off to Indian government's vision in implementing the CSR approach, which no other country has done, and it's having an impact. So CSR is an integral part of the rural transformation movement that we want to launch. And without CSR, it will be a tough climb to reach our goals. So CSR is extremely important, and companies have a big role to play in India for what we are planning in terms of bringing technology for rural transformation.
And this year, the conference is going to happen in Banaras Hindu University. So could you please tell me why it is happening in BHU, and what are some key outcomes you're expecting and long-term objectives you are expecting?
Yeah, we, as I said before, the conference for 2022, we are moved it to India.
Mm-hmm.
And Banaras is a very historic university. BHU is a very historic university with many notable alumni going back decades. They've made contributions to societal improvements. And of course, Varanasi is one of the oldest living cities on the planet today.
Right.
And the state of UP is also doing amazing work in development of communities. So when you put all this together, we felt that BHU is a good location to have this conference, in this iconic campus and state. As far as outcomes, of course, we're going to announce the National Movement for Rural Transformation at this conference. Okay. That's one of the highlights. We're also announcing the best practices competition at this conference, where we are looking for NGOs and other organizations who have implemented solutions in rural areas that are making an impact and therefore can be scaled at the national level. We'll also look for a lot of collaboration to happen between different organizations at this conference, and to get companies and NGOs partnered together as the beginning of this national move.
Can you highlight some of the accomplishments from the previous conferences? Any you can think about?
Sure. So we've had this previous conferences for 6 years, and the NGOs that worked in this conference collaborated and made some real impact in health, education, and nutrition, rural health, rural education, rural nutrition. We've got some NGOs who have really focused on improving maternal health during pregnancies as a means of improving the newborn health and reducing birth defects associated with cardiac or associated with nutrition issues of the mother. Rural education, some of the NGOs who have been involved in our conferences have now launched campuses in rural areas to provide free rural education to girls and boys. And then we also had several NGOs working on social entrepreneurship for creating jobs. And there's been some great outcomes that have come from the interactions at the conferences. You know, we've had over 80 different organizations participating in these conferences. Over 2,000, between 2,000 and 3,000 participants from 30 plus countries, and over 150 presentations, talks of success stories, lessons learned, challenges. So it's been a lot of good work that has come from the collaboration of these conferences. So in terms of the outcomes, just to, there's a couple of points that I want to make as well, that we've had some amazing organizations that have participated in this conferences. You know, foundations like the Gates Foundation, the Hewlett Foundation, companies like Microsoft, Cisco, TCS, Tesla Energy, Bloom Energy, Ericsson, and then the WHO in Geneva, as well as their chief scientists, Apollo Hospitals, and nonprofits like the Khan Academy for Education, and so on. So there's a whole, those are just a few examples of the quality of participants that we've had in this conference. And the same thing we expect in 2022. The lineup of speakers and organizations is quite impressive, and will really add value to the whole objectives that we have. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.